Let's rip into the preview for the 8 races. Stephen Hunt is with us in Petone. Stephen, race number 1. We've got a $3.20 favourite. What can you tell us?
Yeah, pretty keen on one of the locals, should I mention, Jason. Number 7, Taming the Shrew. Blinkers go on. We heard from Andrew Scott earlier in the show that he's pretty keen on this individual, a 3-year-old filly, to take on some of the older horses here. Opened at $3.60 this morning, come into a few notches into $3.20 and 2 times better back than the second best back runner, which happens to be Evervescent in that 4th line of betting. $8 on opening now, trading at $7. See number 3 there, Evervescent. Jason Waddell does the riding. Jason Waddell, clear favourite for the Jockey Challenge today at $2.80, notably Punters. But you're Taming the Shrew well back, $3.60 into $3.20. The Helix has been a notable drifter, $4.50 out to $6. The Helix, Punters not rating its maiden win at Hawke's Bay a couple of weeks back. And a little bit of specking around Vainglory at $23, currently a losing result. And also number 4, Czar Wanted, not a flash striking rate around this individual, but 23 into 15. So best back runner though, the local, Taming the Shrew.
Okay, here's the Form Pro speed map for race number 1, formpro.co.nz and formproratings.co.nz. Low Rider and Czar Wanted, potential go forward horses. You've got Vainglory there, Alright Guru and Pursued. First race over 1,600 metres. Brendan, how did you see it?
Yeah, look, I thought this race was a tricky one to start the day off. I really do like the chances of Tolmac at the top of the book. Gee, this horse was superb 2 starts ago when rattling home and getting very close to winning, in fact, around Ellerslie into 3rd position. Of course, that was the race where Prix de Feu was the winner, but then was relegated, and Ripper Eagle was presented as the winner. So let's take you back to this run, because this gave you just maybe an indication that could he be a sneaky derby chance. He was then beaten last Saturday in the Avondale Guineas, where, look, he didn't get a lot of favours in that race. He was a horse who got back, and he was wide throughout. So, look, they've brought him back to the 1,600 metres. He's shown that he can get through the track conditions with the way they're presented. He does like to get his toe into the ground. He did win a maiden at Maui over 1,600 metres on a slow surface. We've seen him compete also in a Geelong Classic where he ran into 4th position as well. So, look, he has to lug the weight of 60 kilograms, but I did see him as a solid chance in the race here this afternoon off that run around Ellerslie. I think Taming the Shrew with the 3 kilo allowance with Taiki Yanagita does come in nicely. Blinkers going on. There's a couple of good factors around why she can win this race, even though she's taking on the older horses. And then the 2 in the Helix, who did win well in a maiden race at Hawke's Bay midweek, but he certainly showed that there's something about him as well with how he did win that race. Just have to hope that the form out of it can hold up, because Harborside was beaten in a midweek race when well favoured during the week. But, I went with the 1 on top in the first, Jason and Tolmac.
Valachi Downs, the sponsor of the first race. Sponsor of the second race is Rich Hill Stud. And this is the market for this rating 82 over the mile. Rhinestone Cowboy and Concert Hall share favouritism. Has it been between those 2 runners, Stephen Hunt? What have you noted?
Okay, so when betting commenced on Thursday afternoon, Jason, Concert Hall was $3.70, Rhinestone Cowboy $3. And now they've matched $3.50 each of 2. Rhinestone Cowboy hasn't raced since November and does have a wide barrier draw to play with here in barrier 13. Jonathan Riddell doing the riding. Look, he's destined to group company. We all saw that early preparation around Rhinestone Cowboy, but there is a little bit of a negativity around him in betting number 6, and they're pretty keen on Concert Hall, Matty Cameron doing the riding, to beat Rhinestone Cowboy. Concert Hall, $3.70 into $3.50. Wouldn't be surprised if it closed favourite, Jason, later on this afternoon. Zaza Gabor in that 3rd line of betting opened at $10, now trading 8.5. Starry Beale, again, back to the mile. Punters not that keen here. $8 out to 9. Wait for Blinkers to go on back right-handed, 2,000 metres, or left-handed. That will be the green light for around that individual. Firefly, who does have a second to Rhinestone Cowboy last campaign, well supported, $11 in that middle market. A little bit of specking around number 8, Neeson, 16 to 12, looks to be a pace influence. But the best lead I can give, Concert Hall, currently equal favourite, $3.50.
Okay, how about this race and the map for it? You've got Rhinestone Cowboy drawn out, and you can see there in the yellow Rhinestone Cowboy. Interesting. Where do you sort of see tactics here, BP?
It's a heck of a race, isn't it? A rating 82 mile race where there is just form galore. Look, Rhinestone Cowboy, I think there's no doubt that he is one of our most exciting gallopers coming through the ranks. I mean, he has just got a lot about him in terms of being potentially a very good horse, Rhinestone Cowboy. Look, Barrow Draw could be problematic. Do they look to just try and overcome that? Do they look to try and posse up? Do they look to try and slide and try and find a spot with him, with Rhinestone Cowboy? Look, there are a couple of horses here who look to try and take the initiative. You've got a horse like Neeson who can roll forward in the race. Even a runner like Stacey Ann, who's drawn out, do they look to try and get across them from out wide? We've seen Zaza Gabor as well, who's pushed forward in the past as well. So, look, there's a few runners there who can make tempo, and there are a few horses that could apply tempo to the race, or do they look to just try and find their spots? This was a big win at Otaki by Rhinestone Cowboy. He covered extra ground, but Jason Waddell did ride him like he was the best horse in the race, and he was just very comfortable where he was travelling, and he won oh so well and comfortably on that occasion on the 30th of November. He's had himself a very quiet trial. Since then, around Te Araha back on the 5th of February. This is Concert Hall, and you can see why this horse is well favoured in the market. 2 starts ago, this horse was desperately unlucky around Tauranga, never got a clean shot at them and went to the line with absolute handfuls, said Ryan Elliott. Then on this occasion, it just got a little bit niggly at one stage because the horse was 3 back the inside, but Cameron was cool and calm and he waited for that time to present the horse, and then she just exploded away from them, and she did a nice job centre part of the track to win in good fashion. So she looks like she's ready to step up to this type of grade, and she can be a chance in this race, and she has shown that she can get her toe into the ground as well and appreciate that. I'm going with Rhinestone Cowboy over Concert Hall. I really don't feel that there's too much between these runners, and it's all going to come down to who gets the sweetest run in the race. I do like a bit of a couple of roughies in this race, Jason, and I think it is a race where you could search around for a little bit of place value. The 11 and Firefly, this horse does come in beautifully at the weights, does get down to 51 kilograms. Now, this horse won a super race in a rating 72, having to carry 58 kilos over 1,400 metres. Now, that's not really the horse's distance, but goes to 1,600 metres today, does have a draw where she can take a position behind speed. I thought she was a great place chance at $3.50. And what about old mate, our King Sway? He always seems to turn up when there's a little bit of the aqua around and on the home track. Top race this, Jason, the second of the day.
Yeah, totally agree. Let's have a look at the market for race number 3. And this is how things stack up. For the Tone Zone, 1,200. Mr. Universe is the $3.20 favourite. Maison Roxanne, $3.50. Monaco has been super in his last 2 starts, breaking maidens at Matamata. It was a pretty thin race, but he did it well. But then he went to Ellerslie and was, I thought, really good behind Walking By. What's the market telling you here, Stephen? Mr. Universe, you guys were keen on. Has that been the runner that's attracted most money?
Matches dollar for dollar early doors between Mr. Universe and Mason Roxanne. But we have drifted Mason Roxanne 320 out to 350 on weights of multis through Mr. Universe, which declares, from our view in the trading, that it will close favour later on this afternoon, Mr. Universe. But I think it's found its price at $3.20. Jason Waddell doing the riding in front of Mason Roxanne. But as I mentioned, they do match dollar for dollar in early trading, the 2 and the 8. The third favourite, Monaco, well supported, well suited at set weights and penalties, being a 2-win horse, $4.80 into $4 Monaco, and looks to be a ton of speed in this race. It'll be interesting to hear, Jason, your thoughts and also Brendan's around the speed in this race, which will favour a horse like Monaco. Salt Bay, $6.50 out to 7, that 4th line of betting. A little bit of specking around Pims and Pearls and Chiquitita at 10 and 14 respectively, but happy to lay those 2 horses at their prices. Just feel they're just below this grade from the ratings that came out of their maiden wins last start. So best lead I can give, just as Mr. Universe, and that's on weight of multis rather than single bets.
Well, here is the Form Pro speed map, and Brendan Popperwell will get your thoughts on it very soon. You've got Chiquitita, Not Usual June, and Maison Roxanne. We saw Maison Roxanne, Brendan, when she was successful at Te Araha, sustain a lot of pressure. It was a very competitive race, and she came out on top, beating Monaco. You've got Salt Bay that also has speed. Very well backed, obviously, Mr. Universe, who might just get that nice tuck in behind the tempo. How did you see it?
Yes, and that's a key factor, I think, for Mr. Universe, because that's the sort of trip he got last time, didn't he, when presented and won by quite a good margin. And he's a horse who just hinted that he was ready to do something like that. He's been a runner, I know, that's been frustrating for the team, but he's always shown the ability, and he's tackled some nice company, and he put them to the sword when he won around Tauranga recently. Yeah, there is a few horses here, though, that can punch up. Look, Mason Roxanne is a horse I'm happy to forgive the last start effort when beaten by, obviously, King Louis. Now, that was in the Mongolian Karen Trophy. They decided to have a shot at the stumps on Kanaka Million night, and why not? James McDonald gave a big report off the back of the win at Te Araha and suggested that the horse is up to a good grade. So they had a shot. James was in town, so they were able to get him back on the horse. This afternoon with an inside gate with a bit of pressure up front. What did they look to do? Did they look to try and keep kicking on, or did they want to take a trailing spot behind a horse like Chiquitita who could roll forward in the race? I mean, there's a number of horses here who can look to take to that forward position. You've even got sort of Not Usual Jane who's been able to take that position in the past as well. So does that play into these horses' hands? Mr. Universe or Monaco, who's won 2 races and is the only 2-race winner in the special conditions race? Look, Monaco did impress around Ellerslie last time to the races and did win the maiden here at this venue. And we have heard that the raps from Stephen Ralph that he does believe this horse is a runner that's just getting better every time he's gone to the races. And I think the key component too to Monaco is that he spent a bit of time in maiden grade and he's worked the caper out. Now he's gone bang bang with his maiden victory in this 65 win. Look, in the end, was pretty soft, wasn't it? I mean, he had them all covered a fair way out from home, and Trudy's just given him a little slap down the shoulder, and it was a hands and heels job, and he's done it well. He's done it very, very nicely there last Saturday. So big respect around him. I'm going to go with the 8 in the race just, though. As I said, off that regard from James McDonald from the push that he gave us to start to go when she won. If she can maybe look to take a spot behind the pressure and she could have that last shot at them. My big queries in the race, though, and watches are from runners 1 and 2 in Jason and Monaco and Mr. Universe.
Race number 4 is the Waikato Stud Slipper with 3 Tiako trained runners and 2 other Matamata trained runners in the event, with Scotch Tripping from Cambridge to line up in it. $2.10 Aotea Lad, $2.60 for Your Deal, $4.50 for Equinox, and then you've got 25 to 1 for runners 4 through 6. You've already indicated to us, Stephen, that Equinox is the money horse here and the money horse across the country.
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. They've identified number 3 Equinox, 1 start, 1 win, son of Exceed and Excel, up against a couple of stablemates who do have a bit more ring craft and experience when it comes to race day, and Aotea Lad and Your Deal, who both come out of that Karaka Million running 2nd and 3rd respectively. Aotea Lad, $2 out to $2.10. Your Deal, $2.40 out to $2.60. Equinox at the top of the show, Jason, I mentioned $5.50 into $4.80. Top Fluck $5.50. It's even been moved since then into $4.50. So the money continues to flow for number 3 in Equinox, $4.50, and just not sure where it's going to end up in a race that we're not overly confident in terms of these juveniles at the best of times. So it might be just a follow money trait around Equinox, and it could get below $4 on race start. Between Aotea Lad and Your Deal, they do match dollar for dollar, so pretty even round there, and Moriaki at $26, well supported, but that will be a winning result once multis flow through. So clearly best backed is number 3 Equinox.
I find these races so difficult to assess because, look, this is the speed map. And even though it's a small field, there are a number of things that could happen. Scotch is shown to have some sort of speed, but it would be a shock if one of the 3 Tiako trained runners on the inside of it doesn't push up. And then you've got Moraki, who showed excellent speed at both trials and at Te Rapa on debut. Over to you, BP.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I think we've got to really stand up and listen to this move around Equinox. Look, certainly out of the 3 Tiako runners that were in the race, and when he was positioned at 5.5 in the market, I'm sure that's what's tempted many into thinking, well, probably can have something on the 5.5 and then just see what happens during the day. And look, if you are sitting in that position, you are sitting in the box seat now, because you've got a great chance to be able to try and pick your way either between the 1 and the 2 as your biggest dangers in the race and still make money out of the event. So it's hard to go past the Karaka Million form, though, isn't it? Look, it has stood up in the past with this particular race, and look, we even go back to last year, for instance, and Sword of Osman, who did win this race last year. He was beaten in the Karaka Million, and he came out and he impressed. So let's take you back to this race, and Aotea Lad and also Your Deal. These 2 runners finished into 2nd and 3rd, respectively. Of course, Your Deal was a dead heat 3rd with Appellant. So if you line this form up and with how Probabeel did deal to the rivals on this occasion, but the key factor, I think, too, for Aotea Lad is that this horse did run a cracking race behind Whiskey Neat as well, when taking ground off that horse in the Eclipse. and has shown that the horse can get the toe into the ground. Now, we are rated at a dead 6. Likelihood of any more rain, look, it's overcast, but I think if we'd probably pushed out to a little bit further than that, then would be more firmly in the runner at the top of the book in Aotea Lad, because it did win on a slow 8 surface. And then Your Deal, look, he's impressed with what he's done so far. He got desperately close to proper bill to start to go around Ellerslie when beaten right on the hop and then running third there in the Karaka Million. It's a matter of which way you want to roll them out here around these Tiaka runners. On 1 over 3, but it could potentially turn to 3 over 1. I really am undecided around these 3 runners at the moment, Jason. I like them all because really with each sort of individual runs and how the race can pan out, they can win this race. They're 3 top chances in the 4th of the day.
Yeah, it's like picking a favourite child, so I've heard in theory, not having children myself, or picking a favourite show to be on. The first call of the Punters Lounge Live. Let's move on to the New World Matamata 1400. This is the market for it. Bridal Veil's $3.60, $4.40. La Mia Stella. Then you've got Danger D at 6. Giant Gem $7.50. Now this runner interests me, Stephen. Did many get on at the 20 to 1?
Absolutely, Jason. Yeah, you bang on there around number 6. Visor blinkers going on. Had a little bit of a freshen up going to its previous $7.50. Top fluck this morning after scratchings was $9, but well supported during the week at 21. Got as short as 14 prior to today. Giant Gem. So well found now at a $7.50 quote. Jonathan Riddell does the riding. Look, it's hard to dissect this race with the amount of scratchings we have had prior to today, with the likes of Together, who was well in the mix, Emerald and Moore and Co. Bridal Veil now a $3.60 favourite. Well supported in front of La Mia Stella at $4.40. A little bit of specking, as we mentioned, Giant Gem and Owen Patrick for George Simon and Co. Well supported, opened at $10 this morning, now trading at 8. So they're willing to spec 4 or 5 in this particular race.
This is the speed. You'd expect that Owen Patrick would be positively ridden, and along with Bridal Veil, the 2 sort of leaders on paper. Overall, I don't know that it'll be any quicker than even, and those scratchings suggest that maybe it would be quite a slow middle stage of this 1400 metres. A Danger D's a horse that on occasions can show speed. From a wide draw last time, got back and really hit the line hard. So is maps to get a really nice run. How did you sort this race out here, Brendan?
Yeah, look, I do like Giant Gem. I'm sure the bookmakers are happy that Together's not in the race, because judging by how that horse was moving over the last 24 hours, they were piling it on. But yeah, around Bridal Veil and Owen Patrick, they do look like that horses that can position up. I thought Giant Gem, with the forgiveness in the ground, really comes into the race now. Is a horse who's drawn in barrier number 3, so can get a spot where you'd hope wouldn't get too far off them. Gee, really did wind up nicely and picked them up beautifully at Te Rapa when winning this horse, Giant Gem. And that was when the track went off. Of course, that was after the big deluge of rain that we had on Waikato Cup Day, which was 3 starts ago, when the track pushed out to a dead 6 with the visor blinkers going on. I made him my value bet of the afternoon, Giant Gem. I do like his chances in the race. I thought Owen Patrick, if he does look to find that forward position, maybe of even outside Bridal Veil, can be a hope with the dig in the ground as well. But yeah, did like Giant Gem today.
Okay, the J-Swap Contractors Matamata Breeders has an odds-on favourite, Bavella. Stephen Hunt is, I know has to be good, has come out of this market, but what can you report on dollars for this?
Clearly the best back runner in one of the features today, Bavella. $2 on opening on Wednesday, Jason. Got as short as $1.90 prior to the scratching of it. Has to be good. Now $1.75 proposition. In front of a Appellant who also has been well supported, Jason. So even though the money has come for Bavella, the filly, Appellant has been well supported in that second line of betting. Got as short as $4.20 this morning. During the week, you could have got as high as $5 around Appellant, and won't mind any fire out of the track that is presented this afternoon, Appellant. So $3.60, well supported. But Bavella does hold 2 times more money than second best back runner in Appellant. Harlow, look, it didn't do it on the time, Jace, but on the eye was very impressive at Te Rapa first up. Out of Te Akau barn, Harlow, well supported, $9.50. Currently the biggest liability, but I think the money will come for the top 2 throughout the afternoon and get that liability down on the third favourite, Harlow. Outside that, it's pretty friendless. So really, I'll just leave it at that. The top 3 have been the ones that they want in the 2-year-old feature.
Often on this day, with the rail in the true position on a good track, it's not easy to make ground. They run slick time up front, and so the rail is the place to be. How things will transpire, given there is rain makes it rather intriguing. You can see there very clearly the shape of this race with the speed on the inside and horses that often get back. I know a lot of these horses are lightly raced, but in the limited careers have got back. So, look, Beauty Diva, you'd expect Bavella to lead. I can see Bavella controlling the race outside of the leader, Brendan, and being very hard to beat.
Yes, yeah, exactly, Jason. That's how I sort of saw it with her as well. She can take a beautiful spot from her barrier draws. She can be in the gun spot, and really she could produce and still be unbeaten by the end of today, you'd imagine, because before Probabile did what she did, sort of post-Christmas, this horse was certainly that early yardstick 2-year-old, wasn't she, in Bavella, with how she dealt to her rivals at Ellerslie, and then with what she did at her next start to the races. Of course, that was in the Splice Construction. Now, that was on a rain-affected track as well, bear in mind, too, Punters. So let's have a look at this run from her, and gee, she's just so professional. She just does it easily, and she just charges away from, look, a good 2-year-old that's in behind here who runs into that second position, and Ala Loon, who was first time to the races. But there's just everything about her you've just got to fall in love with Bavella, with how she's done this. Vinnie Colgan takes the ride for trainer Lance Noble. Ala Loon's done some good things after this race as well. Look, you consider what she did next time to the races. She ran 4th behind Whiskey and Eaton. Her run in the Karaka Million as well when she finished into 6th want Gee, she's a horse that you'd want to be following as a 3-year-old filly. She just looks like a horse who could really go on with the job as a 3-year-old filly, with her being a daughter of a reliable man. So, yeah, that's the win there of Bavella. Then, of course, we had the Karaka Million form line again, as we showed you earlier in the day. That with Appellant, who finished 3rd equal, and also Ala Loon, who finished into 6th position, but also even the runner who was the speed influence in the race, and that being Beauty Diva, who stuck on it, went around at $110 in that race, with Winona Costin aboard, and ended up finishing into 5th position. She finds herself up front. She did beat Appellant on debut when she did win Beauty Diva. Went 2 over the 1, threw the 8 into the mix in Harlow. I think you've got to respect the Jamie Richards local factor with how she did win that race, and with the blinkers going on, and Ala Loon number 4.
It's a really good line, Ala Loon, isn't it? And Bavella when they last met, because we've seen Ala Loon reel off some really good closing sectionals, and Bavella was stronger than her, sitting closer to the speed at Pukekohe on a rain-affected track. So it just highlights the quality of the favourite for the J Swap Contractors Limited Matamata breeders, and well-backed also Appellant out of that Karaka Million. Okay, to the Kaimai Stakes, and it's brought to you by Mark Sewan and Associates. Rondinella, $2.70, Vinda Dance, $4.40. What can you tell us here? Is it between those two, or have you had money for Charles Road, Tiptronic, Prince Jabeel?
Yeah, they're pretty keen on the top two here, down in the weights, and Rondinella, Vinda Dance. Rondinella, $2.90 into $2.70. And Vinda Dance, who can only improve from its first start run over 1,800 metres a few weeks back at New Plymouth. $5 top high there, now under $4.40, well supported, but just down to dollars. Rondinella holds 5 times more money than Vinda Dance, but Vinda Dance, as I mentioned, well supported. Tiptronic, $7.50. That was its opening line, got a short of $7, but back out to 7.5. Charles Road, now $8. Got a short of $6 on opening on Wednesday. Could even start in that double figure line. It is cold, Charles Road. Look for it in 2 weeks' time in the Auckland Cup. A little bit of specking around Prince Jabeel, 11 into $8.50, and watch this space. Currently a losing result at 23. So, look, but overall they're pretty keen once again in these feature staying races, the listed Kaimai Stakes, and down in the weights, and that's where Rondinella and Vinda Dance find themselves.
Doesn't seem like there's going to be a great deal of tempo in the race. This is how Form Pro presents the map. With speed from Shadow Fox, you'd think Tiptronic would push forward. Camino Rocoso can, same with Lady Amadeus, and then you've got these horses like Vinda Dance, Prince Jabeel, who can go forward, and they sort of be having jockeys, I suppose, Michael McNabb and Matthew Cameron, Brandon Popwell, who'll be searching for sort of 4th, 5th position and running line, you'd guess.
Yeah, look, I think, look, Shadow Fox is the obvious leader, isn't it? I thought Vinda Dance could take a nice spot from the barrier draw. There's a nice opportunity to be able to sort of get 1 off, 3 back maybe with that type of runner in Vinda Dance. I thought his first up run was terrific around Taranaki, and with him being second up, he's a Derby winner, of course, from nearly this time last year. And so he should be a big improver in the race. Look, Rondinella is a horse who's having a shot at the stumps today, and look, this could lead to bigger things as well. So this is her biggest test to date, but gee, she impressed with how she did put them away when she did win around Te Rapa. Let's go to the Group 1 form first of all, and this is the Herbie Dyke, of course, with Tiptronic, who ran out of his skin, didn't he, to be able to finish into second. In fact, we'll go to the Rondinella run first of all. So we'll go to Rondinella when winning on this occasion. And look, she won so easily on this day. August Edition was also in the race. Very flash. I'm sure he would have been hoping that it would have kept raining overnight, and it might have even brought him more into the race. But she just deals to her rivals here. And we know how highly rated Roger James has spoken about this horse. Look, he's mentioned her and Silent Achiever in the same sentence, not in a different paragraph, but in the same sentence. So you have to stand up and listen to what he's said around her since last year, basically, when she was a 3-year-old filly. Look, here's the Group 1 form, and it's with Tiptronic, who was able to take over on the point of the bend, and he's given an almighty big sight. And in the end, it was the same Quinella as the Ritual, where he ran a cracking race in that. Don't know what to make of what happened in the Thornton. Things happen. He copped a really bad check when he was trying to mount a challenge into the race. But he was super here, and look, they have spoken that he's a horse who's needed to get up to the 2,000 metres to show his absolute best. He showed it here. He grabbed himself a Group 1 placing, and then Charles Road. He's forever working home, and he's just looking primed and ready for possibly a tilt towards an Auckland Cup, but that's him finishing into 4th position. I can't get past the run of Vinda Dance, so Jason, and the form around him and him being second up. I'm going to lean towards him just in the race in front of the 10 and Rondinella. With her big test, I do reckon she might be up to it. The 1, Charles Road, look for him to be closing again, and Tiptronic runner number 3. And Prince Jabil, look, Prince Jabil did win at 53.5 kilograms 2 starts ago in a City of Auckland Cup, and went a massive effort to be able to carry top weight in a Wellington Cup recently. You can understand why there's been a little move for that horse. But yeah, I was pretty keen on Vinda Dance.
Certainly by race number 7, everyone will get a fair idea as to how that track's playing, because if the inside is off and sweepers really come into play, well then of course that enhances Rondinella's chances. We saw her how brilliant the burst was to win at Waikato last start. The Westbury Waikato Handicap is the 8th and closing race on the program. 7 runners have come out of this, with half of them starting in other races on the day. Lady Painton's a $4 favourite, $4.40. Poppy Star, $5.50 for both Velo Pour Moi and Jimmy Rocket. Doesn't seem an easy race, Stephen. A quick little lead here from you, if possible.
Yeah, as you mentioned, really turned upside down with notable scratchings with the inclement weather and track conditions, Jason. Lady Payton, $4, well supported. To be fair, there's no clear lead here. They're backing 4 or 5 runners, including Velo Pour Moi at $5.50. A little bit of specking around Mr. Trump, 11 into $9.50 this morning. And also Vitachi will like the dead 5 or dead 6 track conditions. 14 Top Peak now trading at $9.
Okay, so here is the map for the 8th, and you've got 4 horses that are earmarked to go forward, including Red Dynamo, Joe Cargo, Mr. Trump, Lady Payton. Can you give us a get-out horse to back in the last year, Brendan?
If there's a nice bit of tempo here, Jason, which I was hoping there would be, and when you've got a horse like Joe Cargo in the race, there's a big chance of that could just play into the hands quite nicely into Velo Pour Moi, who's rated around $5.50. Digging the track's going to play into this horse's hands, also with weight relief as well, with Taiki Yanagiri getting down to 53 kilograms. I was keen about her chances here in the last. I've marked her as my best, in fact, on the program, and marked it as my top selection in the last. So went 11 to beat 5 with that Concert Hall form around Lady Payton, who did finish into 2nd position when last presented to the races. So yeah, went with Velo Pour Moi in the last. Okay, let's have a look at a strategy for our meeting before we get down to the Group 1 action out of Otaki. So best bet on the card, I'm going to go to Velo Pour Moi in the last race on the program, race number 8, rated at $5.50. Giant Gem is my value in race number 5. Strategy will go... Oh, whoops, I've done that around the wrong way, team. Sorry. It should have been 30 to win on Velo Pour Moi and 10 each way on Giant Gem. That might have been my bad this morning, sorry. So 30 to win Velo Pour Moi, 10 each way on Giant Gem, with that being the each way. And a box multi with Firefly to run a place in race number 2 with a good chance from a decent barrier draw at $3.50 the place. Giant Gem to win, Bavella to win, Vinda Dance, and then Velo Pour Moi. And if that rolls home, Jason, I'll shout you out for dinner.
I'll look forward to that. Can I pick venue?
I know your taste, so no.
Okay, I was going to say it is pretty dangerous if I can pick venue.